In this video, we're going to do some problem solving related to highest common factor and lowest common multiple. Throughout this video, I'll be using the abbreviation HCF for highest common factor and LCM for lowest common multiple. Please do not use a calculator for any of this work. Please try every exercise in your exercise book and don't look at the solutions before trying the exercises yourself. Please start by doing these 4 questions in your exercise book. Pause the video while you do them and press play once you're ready. You should have now done these 4 questions in your exercise book. We're going to go through them one by one so that we have the skills to do the problem solving later in the video. Writing down all the factors of 20. I like to do this using factor pairs. So we start with the lowest possible number, which is 1. Is 1 a factor of 20? Yes, it is. And what's its pair? 20. 1 times 20 makes 20. Let's go to the next number. 2. Is 2 a factor of 20? Yes, it is, because, well, you tell me. Why is 2 a factor of 20? How do you know? Say your answer to the video. You should have said because 20 is an even number, or you should have said that 20 ends with 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, or 2. So we have 2, and what will be the factor pair with 2? 2 times what makes 20? Say your answer to the video. The answer is 10. Is 3 a factor of 20? Yes or no? You should have said no, it's not. Is 4 a factor of 20? You should have said yes, it is. And it's going to be 4 times 5 to make 20. There are no other factors of 20. Please mark your work and correct it if necessary. Pause the video while you do that and press play once you're ready. Question 2, write down all the multiples of 14 between 60 and 100. So this is without a calculator. So the first thing to do is write down all the 14 times tables because they are not times tables which you are supposed to know off by heart. So let's write them out. 14, 28. I'm just adding 14 each time. So 28 plus 14 is 42. Add 14 again, I get 56. Then I get 70, then 84, then 98. And I don't need to go any higher because if I go higher than this, I'll end up over 100. All I need to do now is write down all of those multiples that are between 60 and 100. And hopefully you can see that those are 70, 84, and 98. So my final answer is 70, 84, and 98. Please mark and correct your work. Pause the video while you do that and press play once you're ready. Question 3, finding the highest common factor of 48 and 28. So the first thing we do is we write down all the factors of 48. So hopefully you've written that the factors of 48 are 1 and 48, 2 and 24, 3 and 16, 4 and 12, 5 isn't a factor, 6 and 8, and then there's no more factors. And you should have written that the factors of 28 are 1 and 28, 2 and 14. Is 3 a factor of 28? Say your answer to the video. 3 is not a factor of 28. Is 4 a factor of 28? Say your answer to the video. You should have said that yes, 4 is a factor of 28 because 4 times 7 is 28. Are there any other factors of 28? Hopefully you've said no, there are not. Now, we're not just interested in the common factors because there are a few common factors. We're interested in the highest common factor. So we need to look for the highest number that they both have in their list. So firstly, I'm going to circle the common factors. So they both have a factor of 1. They both have a factor of 2. They both have a factor of 4. And there are no other common factors. What is the highest of those common factors? Say your answer to the video. The highest of those common factors is 4, so the final answer is 4. Please mark and correct your answer. Pause the video while you do that, and press play once you're ready. Question 4, find the lowest common multiple of 10 and 12. So the first thing you should have done is written out the first few multiples of 10. I'm going to write out the first few multiples of 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I'll add more if I need them. I'm now going to write out the first few multiples of 12. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, 96. I could carry on, but let me check first if there are any common multiples here. So I need to find the lowest multiple that they both have. So I'm going to start with one of the numbers, and I'm going to go through the multiples of that number until I find a number that's also a multiple of the other one. So I'm going to do the 10 times tables. So 10. Is 10 in the 12 times tables? No, it's not. Is 20 in the 12 times tables? No, it's not. Is 30 in the 12 times tables? No, it's not. Is 40 in the 12 times tables? You tell me. No, it's not. Is 50 in the 12 times tables? No, it's not. Is 60 in the 12 times tables? Yes, it is. So that is the lowest common multiple of 10 and 12. So our final answer is 60. Pause the video and mark your work. Once you're ready, press play. So we've now gone over the crucial skills which you need to do the problem solving in this video. Have a read of this question, but don't do it. Pause the video while you do that. Press play once you're ready. So this is a question which you may not have seen anything like this before. So I'm going to fully do this question, and then we'll try another example together once I've done this one. So I'm going to start with the fact that the lowest common multiple of these two numbers is 24. So I therefore know that the two numbers must be factors of 24 if their lowest common multiple is 24. The first thing I'm going to do is write down all the factors of 24. So if I do that quickly, I get 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6, and there are no others. So altogether, my factors of 24 are 1, 2, 3, 4. That was going down that way. If I go up this way to get the rest, 6, 8, 12, and 24. So those are my factors of 24. Now, the highest common factor of the two numbers is 2. So therefore, I need to remove any numbers which are below the highest common factor, or any numbers which do not have a factor of 2. So 1 is below 2, 3 doesn't have a factor of 2, but all the others do. Now, I have lots and lots of possibilities. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. I need to find two of those numbers which have a lowest common multiple of 24 and a highest common factor of 2. So I'm going to start by finding combinations with no factors higher than the highest common factor. So I need to find combinations with no factors higher than the highest common factor. So their highest common factor needs to be 2. So I'm going to start with 2 and 4. So 2 and 4, they have a highest common factor of 2. So that's fine. In fact, 2 and any even number will have a highest common factor of 2. So I could have 2 and 6, I could have 2 and 8, I could have 2 and 12, and I could have 2 and 24. In terms of other numbers, I could have 4 and 6 won't work because, 4 and 6 will work because 4 and 6 will have a highest common factor of 2. But 4 and any of the other numbers won't work because the highest common factor of 4 and 8 or 4 and 12 or 4 and 24 will be 4. Moving up to 6, 6 and 8 would work because 6 and 8 would have a highest common factor of 2, but 6 and 12 and 6 and 24 would have a highest common factor of 6. We then have 8 and 12. 8 and 12 would have a highest common factor of 4, so that won't work. 8 and 24 will have a highest common factor of 4, so that won't work. And 12 and 24 will have a highest common factor of 12, so that won't work. So I've written down all the possibilities that would have a highest common factor of 2. And now the last stage is to go through each of these and say which ones have a lowest common multiple of 24. So we'll start with 2 and 4. 2 and 4, the lowest common multiple would be 4. So it's not 2 and 4. 2 and 6, the lowest common multiple would be 6. So it's not 2 and 6. For 2 and 8, the lowest common multiple would be 8. 2 and 12, the lowest common multiple would be 12. And for 2 and 24, the lowest common multiple would be 24. So 2 and 24 could work. 4 and 6, the lowest common multiple would be 12. So that won't work. And 6 and 8, the lowest common multiple would be 24. So that could work. So it's quite a long process, but I now have my answers. The two numbers are either 6 and 8 or 2 and 24. Both of those are correct solutions to the problem. So I'm just going to review very, very quickly what I did, so you have some key steps for what to do in this situation. So step 1, and I'm going to do all these steps in green. So step 1 is what I did over here. I wrote down all the factors of 24. That's what I did first. Then I wrote down all the combinations which have a highest common factor of 2. I did something in between though, so I'm going to change that to step 3. Step 2, I removed any numbers from this list which don't have a factor of 2. So which don't have a factor of 2. Step 3, I found all the combinations which have a highest common factor of 2. Step 4, I removed all the ones which don't have a lowest common multiple of 24. That don't have lowest common multiple of 24. So this is quite a tricky problem. If you found any of that difficult, I would recommend that you rewind the video and watch this example again, because the next step we're going to do together. Rewind the video, watch it again, and once you're ready, move on. So this is another example of the same kind of problem. This time we're going to do it together, so you're going to help me. So could you say to the video what you think I should do first? You're going to have to read the question first, so I'll give you a bit more time. So pause the video, read the question, and decide what you think I need to do first. Press play once you're ready. So hopefully you've said that the first step is I'm going to write down all the factors of 40. So 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 3. Is 3 a factor of 40? Say your answer to the video. Hopefully you've said that 3 is not a factor of 40. Is 4 a factor of 40? Say your answer to the video. 4 is a factor of 40. What will its factor pair be? You should have said 10. Is 5 a factor of 40? It is. What's the factor pair going to be? 8. There are no other factors of 40. So I'm going to write those out now as a list. 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 20, and 40. Now pause the video and try and remember the next step. Once you're ready and you think you know the next step, press play. You should have said that the next step is to remove any numbers which do not have a factor of 1, because we're looking for the highest common factor to be 1. But in this case, because we've got the highest common factor being 1, every single one of those numbers has a factor of 1. So we're going to leave them all there. And now we need to find combinations which have a highest common factor of 1 and the lowest common multiple of 40. So I'm going to start by considering having 1 with any other number. So if I have 1 with any other number, for example, 1 and 2, the highest common factor will be 1, but the lowest common multiple will just be the highest number. If I did 1 and 4, the highest common factor would be 1, but the lowest common multiple would just be the highest number. So the only combination of 1 and something that's going to give me a lowest common multiple of 40 will be 1 and 40. So that's my first possibility. So the highest common factor of 1 and 40 is 1. The lowest common multiple is going to be 40. So that's one possible answer. So I've dealt with 1. Now I've got all these other numbers, 2, 4, 5, 8, 10, 20, and 40. So I need to find combinations which have a lowest common multiple of 40 and a highest common factor of 1. Now, if they have a highest common factor of 1, they can't share any other factors. So I'm going to write down all combinations which don't share any other factors apart from 1. So if I start with 2, so 2 shares the factor 2 with all the even numbers. So the only combination where they won't share a factor apart from 1 will be 2 and 5. So that's dealt with 2. Moving up to 4. 4 shares a factor of 4 with 8 and 20 and 40, and shares a factor of 2 with 10. So the only combination which makes it have a highest common factor of 1 is 4 and 5. That's 4 dealt with. We could also have 5 with 8. They don't share any other factors apart from 1. But 5, 10, 20, and 40 all share a factor of 5. That's 5 dealt with. You can see I'm moving methodically through the numbers to work this out. 8, 10, 20, and 40 are all even numbers. So they all share a factor of 2. So there are going to be no other combinations which have a highest common factor of 1. So we've got 2 and 5, 4 and 5, or 5 and 8. For our last step, pause the video and try and work out the last step for yourself. Press play once you're ready. So the last step is to work out, well, which of these combinations has a lowest common multiple of 40? So they all have a highest common factor of 1, but we need the 1 or the 2 or the 3 which have a lowest common multiple of 40. So we'll start by looking at 2 and 5. Pause the video and work out what the lowest common multiple of 2 and 5 is. You should have now worked out that the lowest common multiple of 2 and 5 is 10. So therefore, that's not right. Could you now work out what the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5 is? Pause the video while you do that. You should have worked out that the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20. So it's not that. And finally, could you work out the lowest common multiple of 5 and 8? Pause the video while you do that. You should have got that the lowest common multiple of 5 and 8 is 40. So therefore, our other answer is 5 and 8. We can double check that what we've done is correct. We need to just check what is the highest common factor and what is the lowest common multiple of each of our answers. And if we do that, we find that we are correct. So the answers are 1 and 40 or 5 and 8. If you found that difficult, I recommend that you rewind the video, watch the 2 examples again before moving on. You should now be in a position to do these 2 examples yourself. Please do these 2 questions in your exercise book. Pause the video while you do that and press play once you're done. You should have now done these 2 questions in your exercise book, and I'll now show you the solutions. Before I show you the solutions, please make sure that you mark your work fully and only move on in the video once you've fully marked and corrected your work. Here are the solutions. Pause, mark and correct your work fully, and press play once you're ready. You should now have fully marked and corrected your work, and we're now ready to move on to another kind of problem. Pause the video and read this problem. Press play once you've read it. So this problem is a lot easier than the examples we've done previously. It just involves, firstly, understanding one thing. Now I'm going to do this example fully myself, so you don't need to do anything but watch. We'll then do an example together. So the key thing here is we're going to need to work out the highest possible value of A over B. Now what does A over B mean? Say your answer to the video. A over B means A divided by B. We want the highest possible value of A divided by B. Now I'm going to tell you a fact. To get the highest possible value of A divided by B, we want our number on the top to be as high as possible. And we want our number on the bottom to be as low as possible. So to get A over B to be the highest possible thing, to get A divided by B to be the highest possible thing, we want A to be as high as possible and B to be as low as possible. Therefore, if you look at the question, we have A is a common factor of 12 and 15. But we want it to be, if you look over here, as high as possible. So we want the common factor of 12 and 15, which is as high as possible. So we want the highest common factor. We're going to need to find highest common factor of 12 and 15. That will be A. Now let's look at the next part. B is a common multiple of 12 and 6, and we want B to be as low as possible. So if we want B to be a common multiple of 12 and 6, but to be as low as possible, we want the lowest common multiple. So we want the lowest common multiple of 12 and 6, and that's going to be B. So using the methods which you already know, could you please pause the video, work out the highest common factor of 12 and 15, and work out the lowest common multiple of 12 and 6. Press play once you've done. So the highest common factor of 12 and 15, you should have found by writing down the factors and finding the highest one that they share. The highest factor that they share is 3, which means A is 3. The lowest common multiple of 12 and 6, you should have found out that the lowest common multiple of 12 and 6 is 12. The highest common factor of 12 and 15, which is A, which is 3. The lowest common multiple of 12 and 6, which is B, is 12. Therefore, we now have our final answer. We want A over B to be as high as possible. We found out the highest possible A is 3. We found the lowest possible B is 12, so our answer is 3 over 12. I'm happy for you to leave your answer like that, but if you know how to simplify fractions, you should simplify it and you get the answer a quarter. But I'll put that in brackets because I don't expect you to know how to do that yet, but if you already know how to do that, it's fine to do it. Feel free to watch this example again before we move on to the same kind of thing, which we're going to do together. So this is another example which is very similar. Please pause the video and try the question yourself. Press play once you're ready. Hopefully you've now tried this yourself. We're now going to work through this together. So we want the highest possible value of A over B. Let's see if you remember. If we want the highest possible value of A over B, what do we want A to be? Hopefully you've said that we want A to be as high as possible. As high as possible. And if we want A over B to be as high as possible, what do we want B to be? Say your answer to the video. Hopefully you've said that we want B to be as low as possible. Therefore, A is a common factor of 8 and 10. But which common factor do we want? Say your answer to the video. Hopefully you've said we want the highest common factor. B is a common multiple of 6 and 9. But which common multiple do we want? Say your answer to the video. Hopefully you've said that we want the lowest common multiple. So that's all we need to do now. We just need to find the highest common factor of 8 and 10. And we need to find the lowest common multiple of 6 and 9. If you've not yet done that, please pause the video now to do that and press play once you're ready. You should have now found the highest common factor of 8 and 10. The highest common factor of 8 and 10 is 2. You should have also now found the lowest common multiple of 6 and 9. The lowest common multiple of 6 and 9 is 18. Therefore, we've got A as high as possible, which is 2. You've got B as low as possible, which is 18. That is therefore the answer. If you know how to simplify fractions, you can cancel that down to make 1/9. You don't need to do that. If you've written 2/18, you've done that correctly. Now, if you got that wrong, I recommend that you watch the examples again before moving on. Once you're ready, we'll move on for a couple of examples for you to do yourself. Please do these 2 examples yourself in your exercise book. Only press play once you've got your answers and you're ready. You should have now done these 2 questions. I'm now going to show you the solutions, and I'd like you to fully mark and correct your answers. Pause the video while you mark and correct your answers. Press play once you're ready. You should have now marked these 2 questions. If you had any issues, I recommend that you go back in the video and watch the worked examples again. So in this video, we've taken our knowledge of finding lowest common multiple and highest common factor to a new level to solve some complicated problems. Feel free to like the video if it was helpful, and please subscribe to my channel to get more videos on maths and physics.